Welcome, it's Chris from Christopher Holt Training, and welcome to this tutorial where we're going to be talking about how do I improve my posture. I've broken it up into a couple of parts. We're first going to talk about why people find it difficult, and then we're going to look at the three fundamental stages of improving posture. Before we get into that, I just quickly want to mention my social media, which is Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Wherever you are on those, please do like and follow. It's great to have you there. If you are on YouTube, please do subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon, and you'll get notified when I release my next tutorial. And also, please comment below, ask any questions below, pop any feedback in the comment section below. Happy to answer any questions. It's always good to hear some comments, gain some feedback on the content that I'm sharing. So part one, why do people find it difficult to improve their posture? Well, number one, they're trying to move a rigid joint or surrounding tissues. And by surrounding tissues, I mean muscles, ligaments, tendons, fascia. All those tissues are involved and all need to be made more supple to be able to move into a better posture. The second thing is they only use stretching. Stretching is just one piece in the puzzle. It's an effective piece of the puzzle and a necessary piece of the puzzle, but it is just one piece. The final point is they only use it for 30 to 60 minutes at a time, and this may be just 3 times a week. So if we think about that, we're doing, say, 3 hours maximum a week of trying to improve our posture. We then go to work or we then go out into the world and we spend 6 to 8 hours a day sat down in a poor posture. We come home, we sit, watch TV in a poor posture. Which one do you think is going to be dominant and which one do you think is going to override the other? It's going to be the 6 to 8 hours at work and possibly in the evening when we are sitting watching the TV. All those hours will accumulate and it will override the 3 hours of good quality posture that we have. So we have to be able to look at it a little bit more as an integrated whole life thing and be in better posture for longer. Now we're going to talk about the 3 fundamental stages of improving posture. Now, this can be included within any exercise method. It could be traditional exercise, could be yoga, could be Pilates. The key is following these 3 steps. Step 1 is massage. Massage is trying to take that rigid joint and make it into a supple one. So obviously the joint is the bony structures with all the soft tissues around it, the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons and the fascia, as I've mentioned before. We are trying to make those more supple so we can then go about moving that joint and tissues into that good posture so we can then go about learning it and staying in that posture. How we get it there is we can use self-massage, which could be using things like foam rollers, massage sticks, or balls, or any type of equipment that's out there that's able to help us do that. Or it could be a traditional massage with a therapist. The type of massage that we want to be doing is slightly different to like a whole body massage. It wants to be a little bit more focused and a little bit more concentrated on the area of the body that we want to improve. So it might involve the joint that we are trying to improve and the joint above and below. As we start to go further away from that, it starts to have less value and less effect on the initial joint that we want to be improving. So we would put extra focus on that joint, make the tissues much more supple around it so it can move into a better posture. Then we would think about the joints above and below it, because what that's going to help us do is it's going to help us avoid some initial compensations if we are struggling with that first specific joint that we're working on. So we're looking at the initial joint and the joint above and below. And finally, the overriding goal of that is to get your joints moving better. If we can get them moving better, that then allows us to do part number 2 or stage number 2, which is stretching. And talking about stretching, as I've mentioned with massage, we could be using traditional stretching. So 30 seconds to a minute on a single area of the body is absolutely fine. Or we could move into slightly more sophisticated type of stretching like PNF or contract relax. Either way, we want to be stretching the muscle. What this is allowing us to do is extend the range of movement. So with the massage, we've created a much more supple environment where muscles can move. What we are then trying to do is extend that. The metaphor that I use is a piece of chewing gum. So you take a piece of chewing gum, like a stick of chewing gum, you take it out the wrapper. Initially, it's very rigid and it doesn't stretch very well. If we put it in the mouth and we chew it, so the chewing would be the massage, we then take it out, it then stretches much more easily. That's the type of effect we want to get from the massage. So then when it comes to the stretching, it then stretches that much easier. The tissues can elongate, and then that allows us to be able to get into that better posture, because notoriously poor posture is when muscles become very rigid and we can't get out of them. So if we can make them more supple and then extend out of them, we're going to be in that posture much more for much more longer time, and it's going to be much more effective when it comes to improving that posture. The stretching also gives us a 20 to 30 minute window, and what this window is essentially doing is it's elongating the tissues, as I've mentioned. It's allowing us to get out of the poor posture and into a better posture, but it's giving us a window of 20 to 30 minutes to be in that posture, and then our body can start to learn it. This is where we then start to move into the movement phase, which is then where we start to ingrain it and become, or in a sense, have better posture. And in this final stage where we're talking about movement, essentially, now the movement can be sort of formal exercise. So it could be traditional exercise, it could be yoga, it could be Pilates, it could be everyday movement. What we want to be doing is being in that better posture. Now that we've created suppleness and the ability for the joint to move, and with the stretching, the ability to extend that range of movement, what we now need to do is, as I've mentioned, we need to use it. Because if we use it, our body is then going to learn that posture. It's going to be in that posture, it's going to remember it, and then much more naturally, it's going to be in that posture. Because that is the key to it, is being in the posture. We've just got to create the environment, which is the massage and the stretching, that allows us to get there. So as I've mentioned, there's a few stages that movement is, or there's a few aspects that movement is giving us. Number one, it allows us to use this newly created range of movement, which should be in a better posture. Number two, once we're in that, it allows us to use it. So we need to stay in that posture so we can use it, and therefore then we can learn it. And then the final thing, the sort of third aspect of it, is then it ingrains it. The more we can be there, the more it ingrains in the body and in the brain, and then the more the body and the brain can remember it, which will then allow you to in a sense, be in that posture for longer. So it's that virtuous cycle, rather than being in the poor posture, which would then be that vicious cycle going downwards. So we want to create the environment of a better posture using the massage and the stretch, and then we use the movement to be in that better posture, where it then creates the virtuous cycle where we come out into a better posture. If I was to add a final part to this, it would be then we need to know what those good postures are. We need to be identifying when I'm moving my upper spine as opposed to moving shoulders or moving the neck. Because if I was to say to someone, right, extend your upper back, some people will just look up like that and they'll think, right, I'm sat up straight. Where what they've done is they've just moved their head, but they haven't moved their upper spine. So it's being able to then differentiate from the two. So not only is it massage, stretch, move, you've then got to know what positions to move into and how to use those parts of the body to move into that better posture. So to quickly summarise what we've talked about today, part number one was, why do people find it difficult? Number one, they're trying to move rigid joints and tissues. Number two, they only use stretching. And number three, they only do it for 30 to 60 minutes at a time. And what are the three fundamental stages of improving posture? Number one is massage, number two is stretch, and number three is move. Massage creates that supple environment. Stretch helps you elongate and get out of those poorer postures, and then the number three, which is movement, allows you to be in that good posture, which then allows you to learn it and ingrain it. All we've then got to do is just make sure we know what those postures are. So many thanks for watching. My name is Chris from Christopher Holt Training, and I look forward to speaking with you in the next tutorial.